here now.
Here.
Yep. Our first thing we'll do is have welcome to the Goffstown Select Board meeting, November 24th. Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up is the acceptance of minutes from 11:10 public minutes. We didn't have any non-public minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Mark. Any discussion, corrections? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Motion carries. Just one quick announcement is that Town Hall, DPW, and the transfer station are going to be closed on Thursday and Friday. Curbside Thursday and Friday routes will be collected one day late. So if you're supposed to be on Thursday, be Friday. If you're supposed to be on Friday, you'll be Saturday. I would imagine that's how it goes. Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move over to Town Administrator's report.
Thank you. At tab 4A, you have your committee meetings scheduled for the next 2 weeks. The only addition for closing is the Goffstown Public Library closes early on the afternoon before on Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. And then they'll be closed on Thursday as well. Next week, on Tuesday at 5:30 p.m., the Pedestrian Bridge Ad Hoc Committee will meet at Parks and Rec Building. And on Wednesday, 6 p.m., the Budget Committee will be at the high school. On Wednesday at 6 p.m., the Economic Development Council, they've canceled their meeting. And at 6:30 p.m., Library Board of Trustees will be meeting. And then Thursday, it'll be 6 p.m. for the Budget Committee. At your next page, you have your consent agenda. We have employee status reports. Full-time fire captain, successful completion of probationary period. You have a new hire of a full-time police officer. And then you have your new hires in Parks and Rec. We have 3 youth official 1s, 1 youth official 2, and 16 youth scorekeepers. These are the per diem positions that used to be contracted.
Motion to approve the consensus agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Seeing none, motion carries.
Tab 4C, you have a memo that was carried over from your last meeting. This is a recommendation from the assessor regarding the veterans tax credit for service-connected total disability. There was a change in the law, which is included in your packet, that no longer allows us to grant both the veterans credit, which Goffstown offers a $600 credit for veterans, as you cannot include that and stack on the veterans tax credit for service-connected total disability, which is $2,400. So his recommendation is that we put a warrant article on the ballot this year to increase that from $2,400 to $3,000.
And that doesn't actually change the appropriation, it's just,
It's not going to change the amount, it's going to change what category there are.
Right.
So before you'd have a person getting the veterans credit for $600 and the total disability for $2,400. Now they wouldn't get the veterans credit anymore unless there was some future change in law, but we would bring a recommendation at that time. They would only get the service-connected total disability, which would be, if the board agrees and the voters agree, would increase it to $3,000.
And that's $47,400 worth of revenue, Derek, based on what you sent me last time.
It's not a revenue, it's what we do is we figure out how much funds we have to collect in taxes, and then you take the credits off. So you're basically dispersing the tax burden elsewhere.
But it's $47,400 worth.
So we have 79 of them, yes.
And those veterans are fully disabled, which means they're already getting a check from the U.S. government as well, correct?
I don't know what the status is for what they get from the government, but in terms of what we need to do is we need to verify that they have VA paperwork showing that they are totally, and I forget the language that it uses. It's service-connected, permanent, and total disability. So they have to provide the VA paperwork proving that.
If it's through the VA and they have 100%, they typically will get medical disability, which means that they're getting a check for that already.
But if they're not getting a check, but this is a tax credit, am I correct?
This, they're getting a tax credit.
Right,
Right,
check, it's
which,
not like they're getting money.
which the state removed the ability to stack
Right.
the
I
two
understand that.
pieces together.
I understand that, what I'm saying is, but you,
I'm just saying,
also, you kind of made it sound like they were getting a check, when I get a check, to get a check.
they're not getting a check from us, they're getting a check from the US government, the federal
Right.
government.
But tax credit is what they're getting from us. Motion?
I move that we,
So you'd be putting a motion to put the proposed warrant article on the
Right.
2026 warrant.
that's my motion.
I'll second it.
Any questions?
I don't think this is a place where we
Discussion?
should, I don't think this is a place where we should be cheap, and we ought to let the town vote on that.
Yeah.
I think the town should vote on it, I just think that everybody should understand those pieces come together. The state actually removed the stacking, which we were allowing that stacking to occur. And this isn't necessarily a change in the revenue disbursement to other people in the town if they get that additional, but there are other factors that go along with it as well. So people should understand that when they're voting.
So I just want to make it perfectly clear for anybody listening, it's not a revenue disbursement, it's a reduction of their, on their tax bill. It's
For
not-
them, but it goes to the rest of the taxpayers, Peter. That's clear, like
It's not a revenue disbursement. It's a reduction in their tax bill. A revenue disbursement.
It's a reduction in-
A revenue disbursement is when you're giving money to somebody.
But Peter, you're.
It's not a disbursement.
You-
I want to make it perfectly
Okay,
clear.
fine, but let's just be clear about the fact that they're not paying that tax, the rest of the taxpayers are.
Okay, that's a better way to put it, not as a disbursement. Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Jim, seconded by Josh. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
In tab 4D, you have the proposed holiday schedule for 2026. There's no big changes from what was approved for 2027. But again, this is brought to you each year and subject to board approval.
Make a motion to approve the 2026 proposed holiday schedule.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in
Well-
favor? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Derek, is there a plan for us to like unify these collectively across the board, or is that never gonna happen?
Which ones specifically? So the library board of trustees set their own, they're the governing body for the library. But in terms of, so the collective bargaining agreements are negotiated. And then you have the town hall, Parks and Rec, police, fire. So all your non-union are the same.
Yeah, I think the one that kind of like, if I remember correctly, I don't know, I thought it was different, like, I thought it was weird that we're not following the same pattern across all the departments in town.
Yeah, for the CBA ones, we haven't necessarily, it's a cost item because they'll either impact, excuse me,
That's one type.
the holiday, their holiday payout or their OT amount. So it's as we give them additional holidays, it needs to be something that goes into the cost items that voters need to approve. So that's why some of them have a few different ones.
Okay.
We had a motion on the floor. Was it by Mark, seconded by Jim?
Yep.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries.
Thank you. At tab 4E, you have a proposed policy. This is an information technology use of artificial intelligence policy. It's a draft for the board to consider. This has been reviewed and modified based on feedback from all of the department heads, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. This is mostly about the type of information that can be used in AI, as well as properly crediting it when you're producing content.
Peter?
Go right ahead, Josh.
Derek, and Brian. So what tools do we currently have that are using large language models, LLMs?
So we have Microsoft Copilot that is the one that's primarily available to all users because we are Microsoft 365.
And do we know if anybody else is using other tools? Are we monitoring in that shape, form?
Whoa, we have our IT coordinator come up and speak to us.
Part of this policy for us is just to kind of get ahead of some of that. A lot of the applications that we're using are starting to implement it. So we want to have something in place before that all starts rolling out so people understand how to use it, because it's definitely has good use case in certain situations, but we want to make sure we get ahead of it.
So we don't know all the other places that,
No, I think the only other place that we're, at least here at Town Hall, that we're actively using it is in the Minute software. We're using that to create the transcripts and compile the minutes, but we would have to discuss with all the other departments if there's anything else they're using.
so we have no monitoring tools or anything like that in place to understand if somebody's uploading data to a particular chat bot or large language model or anything else like that that may be sensitive in nature?
We have securities in place, but nothing that monitors uploads to AI specific. Which is why we're trying to have this in place so that we're steering people towards Copilot. Some of the other fire software is starting to roll out AI where it pulls in data. That's all audited and logged in their system. So we're just kind of scratching the surface and want to have something in place.
Yeah, I didn't see anywhere in the policy, and maybe I missed it, Brian. Does it specify which, I see Microsoft here as an example, as the attribution, but nothing that specifies these are the tools that you're allowed to use, or point to another document that states these are the tools that are approved?
In the beginning of the document, I'm not sure exactly which section it's in. It mentions ones that are authorized by the IT office after review.
And is there a list of that somewhere?
We did not include a list in there. I
It
didn't
says
want
town
to.
hall officials, employees, volunteers, and other workers who use AI and LLM, and of course, the duties. It covers all AI and LLM tools. So is that where you're talking about?
That's more the scope of the
Yeah,
policy.
but where he was saying it's in the beginning of the policy of who can use it, I don't,
So it's on the second page, halfway through the general usage, where it says only AI and limited, what's LLM, large language model tools that have been authorized and approved by the town's information technology office may be used. So we would have to create a.
You have to create a list.
To distribute to.
Yeah.
So that will be required, because if anybody comes back and you don't have the list, they're gonna say, how do I know?
Yep, absolutely.
so this is in progress, then, would that be accurate?
So this is a draft that we would at some point like the board to approve, but I guess it's an ever-changing
Right.
landscape. So if you feel more comfortable looking at it, we can put it on to the next meeting.
I'm okay with it, I just think it needs a few things, Peter.
Well, that's what I'm saying, do we
Yeah.
need to do a few things before we adopt the policy and then immediately have to change it?
I wouldn't want the list that IT is gonna approve written into the policy, and then we're gonna come back to you on a regular basis to modify the policy. I almost think like that would be an addendum to this policy.
I don't think the list should be in the policy, but it should point to a list that you maintain and can fluctuate based upon approval.
I understand.
Brian, are you gonna be in charge of the training that's required in this?
We have various ways that we can get the training. I know Primex has some training on AI coming up. We also have a software that we use that has modules that focuses on AI.
Okay. The ethical training too, that's.
Yep,
yeah,
yep, exactly.
That's scary stuff.
Can be.
Go ahead, Josh.
Do you have any requirements around what you do or do not log, Brian, in Copilot 365? Like, for instance, I know with like Google's, they retain the searches and things like that for a certain period of time. And I don't know if you want to keep some sort of policy on file for that, because from an e-discovery standpoint, if it's there, that means that people can request it as well.
Yeah, our logging with Microsoft is not, I want to say it's 90 days. I don't know off the top of my head what we have that set to. That's the max that we can have under Microsoft right now.
Okay. You may want to have some sort of retention policy put in place for this sort of thing as well, because recently, Chat GPT in their infinite wisdom got into a legal battle and have now released, like, I don't know, it was like some large number of random number of queries to just to the case that is involved in it, because it got subpoenaed.
Anything else? So do we want this to go ahead, or we want to wait? Till some, is there more things you want on here before we approve the draft?
I think we should get a few more of those things in here, just so that way you guys are covered.
Okay, so let's get down what you think we need to have in there, because you got a lot more.
So what I have is a starting list of approved AI tools, and then also a retention policy for logs, for how long things are going to be retained. I have those as the two main items that we need to look at.
That cover it, Josh?
Yeah, I'm just, the one last thing on the general usage, I assume you want them using this for work purposes only if they're approved items, right? You don't want them using it for personal searches and things like that?
Yeah, I think that's probably covered under our general computer use policy, but we can restate that here.
I would just, to make sure, because there's a lot of things you can ask AI, and like, it's very useful.
Yeah.
It just can go down some very bad rabbit holes.
And it's good to remind them of that.
Yeah.
It's work purposes, because as you mentioned, it is logged, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can add that.
That's it for me.
Do you want to make a motion that the board take no action at this time, or you just let it?
Let's just table it till later.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll bring a revised policy back at a future board meeting. We'll make some changes. I'll want to have department heads review it one more time.
Yep.
And bring it back to you.
Move on to 4F.
Thank you. At tab 4F, you have updated job descriptions. You have a revised deputy fire chief job description that was reviewed and recommended changes from Chief Selleck. And then you have the 4 IT positions. We've added in the required rotational on-call language to each of those positions.
I'll make a motion to approve the new job description for the deputy fire chief.
Second.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Richard. Any discussion, questions? This is really a review of his job description that he changed.
Yes.
Yeah. Any questions? Anybody got anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Motion carries.
And then the on-call. Sure.
Go ahead.
On the IT one, this is just to add in the on-call piece solely, is that correct, Darren?
Yeah, so we added it in 2 places. Sorry, it looks like the director position is not highlighted. But we added it under the essential functions, and then we also added a language under job environment. So the language we added under job environment is employee may be required to work outside of normal work hours in response to emergency information system issues and/or emerging security threat participation in 24-hour rotational on-call required. And then again, we added that they would have to participate in 24 rotational on-call and available to respond to emergency information system issues under essential functions.
Anything needed about coming back to the office, should it require it, or?
No, because I think what we're going to do is we're going to develop, so this would be the job description, then what each department has done is develop like a one-page sign-off for them of what the expectations were, like how much time they need to respond in, if they, especially for IT, if they can start tackling it remotely, and when they need to escalate it and to actually come into the office.
So that'll be an addendum of something that they
It
have
won't
to
be to the job descriptions, but it'll be like a town hall, standard operating procedure.
And they have to sign that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, then I'll make a motion to approve the new job description for IT and director, to add them in for the rotational on-call.
Second.
Okay, but I got one question. Now, when the call goes out and they can handle it remotely from home, do they get paid for that?
Our hourly employees, we must pay them for
Okay.
doing the work. The salary employees fall under the town's salary policy.
Okay, and the hourly employee working from home would get, is there a certain guaranteed hours that they would get?
We do not have a minimum in our personnel policy.
Okay,
And do we pay out by the hour or by 15 minutes? Like how?
Pay in 15-minute increments.
Okay.
yeah, that's, I just want to. Okay, there's a motion on the floor, by Josh, seconded by Mark, right? Any questions, any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Next up would be new business. Do we have anybody's new business in front of us? Go ahead, Richard.
So this is on the budget. I don't know who's been watching the budget committee meetings, but something that came up a couple times during our recent meetings was the curbside packer truck for DPW. So it's a CIP item in the amount of $430,000. And what it seems like the budget committee wants to know is if we would be amenable to putting that into a separate warrant article to be funded by unreserved fund balance.
What's our unreserved fund balance?
So at tax rate setting, I think what we talked about with the budget committee, as well as during your budget review, I think we'd be comfortable with in the area of using a total of $750,000 to $1 million. You've already designated that $350,000 for the fire apparatus capital reserve fund. So I think you do have a little bit to play with and propose a purchase from that.
The problem with that is, I'm sure you realize if somebody brought it up, if it comes up no, no means no.
Right. Yeah.
So if that truck was to break down in the middle of the year, you wouldn't be able to go buy one.
No, I'm aware of that. The way I'm seeing these budget committee meetings going is that we're reaching a point where we're going to just start cutting things out of the DPW budget, and they took the hardest hit last year. It left us in a bad spot with the road plan. There's already been money pulled out of the road plan for this year. I think that, I don't know, I just think balancing priorities, it probably is the right call to go along with this one.
Well,
Go ahead, Josh.
thank you, Richard. You've done, I think, a great job representing the select board and just like participating. The one question I think I have is like, we have 4 Packer trucks right now, correct?
That's right.
And 2 of them are on the newer side, one's definitely older, and then there's another one. When's that one supposed to, the other older one, when's it supposed to be replaced?
I'm not here to answer that, I don't remember.
I can look while you're discussing.
Because the thing that started circling in my mind is like, should we really just get down to 3? I don't understand why we have 4 when only 2 are in service at any given point in time.
Well, they do use a third one. They use the third one occasionally.
The third one is used as a fill-in when the 2 primary trucks that are,
Correct. When they're down,
yeah,
which
Or-
was the
Or they
discussion.
get behind, something happens, and they'll put somebody else on that.
And they have to
third
catch up or
Right.
something like that. But still, that would still ask the question, why 4? Why not just 3?
truck. Okay, but that still doesn't, if you don't replace that fourth one, okay, so you're saying you continue on with the 2 that are on front line, and then the third one, and you don't put a fourth one on, aren't you kicking that one down the road then? or-
No, I'm thinking we still need a newer Packer for the third one. I'm just saying that we probably get rid of the
Rid of
2
two?
old, get rid of the 2 old ones.
I don't know, I have to discuss that with DPW director, he's not here tonight.
Because I do think that could create more of a,
Well,
it would get rid of some of the discussion that we had, that I saw happen within the,
So this, the one that he's looking to replace right now, replaces a 2016, and then the next one in the matrix would be, he's got it listed as a purchase in 2030.
the 2016 one, is that the one that's got the brand new engine in it, do we know that?
No,
No?
no, that does not.
no,
That is,
Okay, one of the older ones, I just,
so that, I think the way he's got it is, it's actually one of the older ones. I think, I don't know if he did it for budget committee, for select board, but showed where the spike happens in the repair costs once you hit like 11, 12, 13 years. That was the one that got the new engine.
so the caution on that, what you're saying, Josh, is you might, if you put that out and you get it, you may be looking at doing another special article, because if you don't do it, right, and we don't get it, then you can do another special article the following year.
well, I mean, this is, we're trying to do our due diligence together to try to get it across the line and make sure that the town gets what they need. I'm on the same side as Richard here when it comes like, maybe we should put it in as a special article. However, I'm not thrilled that 200,000 got taken out of the road plan. Like, that's where my, like, hey, we take 450,000 out of the reserve fund, but you've already taken 200,000 out of the road plan.
Yeah,
That's a problem.
I prefer they put that road money back in. I feel better about doing this.
Absolutely.
So, what I'm hearing is maybe we do a negotiation with them, okay, you put the 200 back in the road plan, and we'll put this one out, the special article?
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
what you're saying?
If that's how we feel, yeah, I can bring that up for sure.
Because I think that would keep the roads in place. Adam's plan had the full amount in, also included work with the sewer commission,
Right.
where we were gonna do more work in Bernardville and share the cost with the sewer commission.
Yep.
They've now taken that out. So it makes it harder to understand which roads we're gonna go after. So we can make the dollar stretch more if
So
they
they
left
take-
the road plan alone.
So they're taking out GPW ability to work with the sewer commission?
Oh, yeah,
With the
Adam,
sewer?
yeah, I asked Adam about like making sure that the sewer, because the sewer commission has a road plan for the next
Right,
couple of
and they
years.
should do the same.
They should be working together
Right,
on it,
right.
right? And sharing the cost, which both parties are willing to do.
Yeah.
And that gets us more road coverage in Pinardville and other places where the sewer lines are getting ripped up. If we take this back and say, look, absolutely, we'll do the 450,000 and we'll take it out of the unreserved fund, that gets them above the 200,000 that they already pulled out. There may be some other things that we can figure out how to move back and forth as well. Some of them may be looking at different operational costs versus CapEx costs, and these are things that we should look at and explore. But,
That's next year, it's too late for that now.
so, I don't know if it's too late for this year.
Well, we've looked at that in the past, and there's so many hiccups that could happen in that.
There are hiccups that can happen,
You know,
but,
And if somebody's, if your budget doesn't pass and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of a lease and they come and take your vehicle away,
Sure,
I mean, it's always a possibility.
it's always a possibility. But the smoothing of the budget could,
So I read, I
Good.
don't know if anybody else read there was an article about the towns in New Hampshire and how they rated out. And it specifically stated, when it came to Goffstown, that the taxes were a little higher, but the services were above what other towns will offer. So they were complimenting us on the services that we offer, so.
and that's why people
And
live
there's a
here.
cost to that, so.
Yeah, but I think though, to preserve those services, I think that this is just the right direction to go.
I agree with you 100%, and I would bring, anybody wants to make that motion to go to the board, I would say, do you need a motion on that? Derek, do we need to have a motion?
Or if you're gonna put something onto fund balance?
No,
Our response.
Our offer is to put it to fund balance if they restore the 200,000 in the road plan.
You can definitely do that and do it as a motion. I would, having sat at budget committee for the last couple weeks, I would anticipate that our meeting on December 2nd will involve additional cuts. It is my feeling that they are looking to trim the budget by an additional, 1.5 million in that magnitude.
What else do you have on your list, Richard? Because I have another idea, and it's not gonna be popular, but I have another idea.
What, on my list as.
Like that you need to bring back from the budget committee.
No, that was really the biggest one. There hasn't been a whole lot of other things that have, required a response from this body.
What ideas do you have?
So it was brought up multiple times, and I think that they're gonna go down this path, Peter, which is like what other areas that you can pull, and really, there's two areas that you're gonna pull from. Either you're gonna pull from DPW, which is basically what happened last year, or you're gonna pull from the 3% matrix adjustment. We're already talking about shifting the pay up 6 months, so everybody got a step adjustment in June. They'll get another step adjustment in January, and there's also a 3% matrix adjustment. I think we should consider moving that to a 1% matrix adjustment for this year, and then figure out the people that are at the top of the steps right now, how we can get them another 2.5%, which was like 8 people, and that should lower some of the costs across all the departments, versus trying to go after just DPW.
So just to dumb that down, normally that 3% would hit in July. Let me finish, okay? So now, instead of doing it in July, we're gonna start it in January. So at the end of the year, right, they still get that 3% when it comes to next year. The dollar value I'm talking about. So if the dollar value is, say, $100 per person, they're gonna spread it out over 12 months instead of getting it that 6 months, and then in January it starts all over again. Am I right, Danielle?
Explain that one more time.
So-
I'm not following what you're saying.
If, let's say if they were gonna get the 3% in July, right?
Yep.
All right. So instead of giving them the 3% in January, you give them 1.5%, covers the whole year. They would still get the same dollar amount, right, that they would have gotten, but it would be spread out.
Because of the 6 months,
Right.
the difference. So they get the same amount of money over the year that they would if you get
So
the
it
whole
doesn't-
thing at half a year. Kind of makes sense.
Huh. So they're not getting a double hit, was what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying that we lower the amount of the matrix adjustment, is what I'm suggesting.
Isn't it the same thing that I just said? If I do it in January and we do it at 1.5%, they were gonna get 3, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want them to get 3 for the whole year, you want them to get 1%.
No. The matrix, the step adjustment gives them roughly 3%
Okay,
automatically.
cost of living was what?
We were then gonna go ahead and increase the matrix adjustment by another 3%.
With the COLA.
Sure. So, but we just gave everybody a step increase in July.
Right.
we're now gonna, we're fast forwarding it to January.
So, now, what happens if we didn't fast forward and did it with July, what would you give them then?
If we were gonna do it in July? I think you still have some of the same argument, but this one actually puts all the money up front, which is why they're saying, hey, it's a lot more this year, because we moved it up, right?
Yeah,
Derek?
twice as much.
Twice as much. So,
What I'm saying is you don't do it for that extra 6 months twice as much, you're gonna spread it out over the year. So let's say you're gonna give them that 6% in July, right? It's still gonna exceed that 6% in July. It doesn't make any difference at the end of the year, the dollar amount's still, at the end of the year, the dollar amount's still gonna be the same.
it's gonna be similar, yeah. I get what you're saying by mathematics. I mean, the other option is that you do there's a couple options that we have. We do the step, we move the step forward in January. We still do the 3%, but we do it in July this year, and then the next year, basically, we do both at the same time, but you're still gonna get to a similar place. Or, what I'm suggesting is you actually lower the whole thing, because it's gonna lower the total amount for the year.
And then you're just affecting non-union personnel. Would that be correct?
Yeah, you cannot adjust the
You
matrix.
can't adjust the
for-
matrix on the,
For the collective bargaining.
it's only, you're
But
only.
the bargaining agreements aren't happening at the beginning of the year, or are they?
They happen on July 1st, and those have been previously approved by voters.
Right.
So
Right.
they are in the default budget.
Right, that's completely different than.
Exactly, so
Yeah.
the only people you're talking about are non-union personnel.
That's right. So maybe the best approach is we do the step increase in January and we do the matrix adjustment later in the year.
It's the same thing.
It's gonna spread some of the money out, though. It's gonna be less. Because you're still fast forwarding everybody a step, Peter. You're accelerating that.
I'm not arguing that point, but at the end of the year, it's still gonna be the same amount of money on your budget.
Not if you do the 3% increase in the middle of the year, because you're only doing it for half a year then.
But what I was saying, you do it all, you split that whole thing in half and you start it in January. That way, it comes all the way around until next January.
So,
It's the same thing.
so what are you suggesting?
I'm saying for the sake of simplicity,
Yeah,
right, instead of doing it in two, do half of it for the whole year.
do half of it for the whole year, for 1.5%
Yeah,
versus the 3%.
yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that. Like,
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I get what you're saying now.
Okay. Does that work, Danielle?
If you would reduce the matrix adjustment to 1.5% versus the 3.3 that was
Yeah.
proposed, you could do that. That would give you a savings of about $150,000 on the full 12 months.
I think we do that now.
I don't have a problem with that.
I'll make a motion to change the matrix adjustment from 3% to 1.5% at the beginning of the year in the budget that we presented to the budget committee.
3.3, so it'd be 3.3 to 1.5.
1.5, okay.
Second that.
Motion by Josh, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion, questions? Richard, you understand it?
Yeah, no, I understand where we are on that, and yeah, I think that it's the right move at this point.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Anything else?
Yeah, what did we decide on the road and the truck?
I think we decided that,
The sense that I got is that I will return to them and say we would agree to that, given
Okay.
that we would put the 200,000 back.
I don't think we need a motion for that, you just gonna.
No, I'll just bring it
Still
back.
horse
That's just a
trading.
negotiation.
Still horse trading here, okay.
anything else? Anything on here that we, Adam's not here, tire, what's going on with the tower?
So the tower, the chief reached out, let me, pull up.
Plan to pick up repair tower Tuesday, 11/22, it says over here.
It's probably gonna be Wednesday. So the update is, they expect to have it done on Tuesday, allowing to pick it up and get it back into service on Wednesday. To date, they haven't run into any unforeseen problems, so they're anticipating they'll be within the approved budget.
Awesome. Anything else? Anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Motion?
Motion to go in non-public session, RSA 91A:3,
2.
comma 2. And for A, compensation of public employee. Is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
Who seconded that motion?
I did.
Jim did.
Jim did.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yes.
yes. That'll conclude tonight's public portion of our meeting. We'll now be going into non-public.